you. Hello, everyone in Zoom and TV land. This is a new experience for all of us. Please excuse my raspy voice, although a lot of people might find it rather becoming, but I do apologize in advance. No doubt these are very difficult times, but we are strong, resilient, and creative. And this is a great example of what we can do and what needs to be done when we have to. It's a privilege and an honor to be a part of this town hall meeting. It's really exceptional, and this is our first on Zoom, and I hope everyone is watching Channel 99 right now, because we do have the Honorable Congressman Ted Deutch with us, and our Commissioner Mark Bogen, and Bruce Bandler, our Administrator. We're very grateful, Congressman Deutch, that you took the time to be with us, as well as Mark Bogen. And I know Congressman Deutch has been serving our community for over 10 years, and he's been a strong advocate for all of us and for senior citizens in general everywhere. And we thank you for that, sir. Over the past few months of this craziness of this pandemic, Congressman Deutch has been in constant contact with us and keeping us updated. He's even gone so far as to send a letter of commendation to the administrator and the management team and to all of Wynmoor for a job well done. Actually, even using Wynmoor as a model for other senior communities to follow during these very difficult times. So we're grateful to have you here, Congressman Deutch, and along with Mark Bogen, our Commissioner, Bruce Bandler. Mark has, and I'm sorry, and excuse my voice. I had a little bit of surgery yesterday, so I'm kind of out of sorts. But anyway, Mark has been our attorney, our city commissioner, and also a friend and advocate for Wynmoor. Congressman Deutch and Commissioner Bogen will provide us with federal and county information and updates. And then following, we'll go into a question and answer period and take all your questions. We thank those that have sent in their questions prior, and that'll be led by Bruce Bandler, our administrator. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Congressman Ted Deutch, thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much. It's really great to be with everyone. It's a special honor for me to appear anywhere, but especially on a Zoom with Commissioner Bogen. And with everyone who's tuning in, it's been a really challenging time for all of us. And I want to start just by thanking everyone at Wynmoor for really serving as a model. I have we get a lot of phone calls in our office from people who don't know where to turn. They don't have anyone looking out for them. They don't have they're isolated and they really struggle. And Wynmoor has been such a good model for others in terms of responding to the pandemic and being in contact with your residents and making sure that everyone understands that this is, as hard as this is, that we're all in it together and that we're going to get through it together. And so I want to start by saying that. And here we are using Zoom and the TV system within Wynmoor. This is one of the things that we've had to do to figure out how to communicate. So I'm glad to be able to do it. I just thought I would spend really just a couple of minutes talking about two issues that I know are front and center on everyone's mind, and then I'll turn it over to the commissioner and we'll take some questions. But let me just start with what I'm doing right now. As soon as we're finished here, I'm headed to the airport and headed back to DC. Tomorrow, we're going to be taking up a piece of legislation that recognizes the importance of the United States Postal Service. And that's particularly critical, I think, for the residents of Wynmoor, because people in Wynmoor understand that the Postal Service has been getting a lot of attention given the pandemic and the fact that there's an election coming up in just 74 days. A lot of people want to vote by mail. In Florida, we have a great history of voting by mail. It's safe. You don't have to leave your home. We want to make sure our votes are counted. And so there are concerns about what's been happening, and I'll certainly fill you in on all of that. But in Wynmoor, you understand that our veterans rely on our U.S. Postal Service, and seniors rely on Postal Service for checks and prescription drugs, and it's really important. And so today we sent a letter to the Postmaster General, who's testifying in the Senate, expressing concerns about the changes that were made to the Postal Service that could impact the delivery of mail and cause delays in the delivery of mail. At the beginning of the pandemic, the Postal Service had asked for $74 billion. That was a bipartisan request from a panel that is bipartisan. That was $25 billion to cover COVID-19 losses, more money for modernization, and then some money for debt relief. Instead, they got a significantly reduced amount, and the Postmaster General started making changes that could cause greater delay. And for people living in rural communities, it'll be harder. And for people who depend upon the Postal Service, for all the reasons we discussed, it's a real concern. So we're going up to Washington. I'm going to Washington tonight. We're going to pass a piece of legislation tomorrow that will increase funding and that will require the Postal Service to roll back the changes that have been made that will cause the damage and the delays, roll those back so that we can all be assured that the mail will be delivered timely, that our ballots will be sent to us, that they will get back in time for them to count. It's a really important issue. So that's going to be happening. I'm happy to answer any other questions about that. And then I just wanted to talk quickly about the economic side. The fact is, the challenges of COVID-19 are healthcare based and economic based. You can't separate the two. And so we've been working hard. I've been working hard throughout the entire pandemic to make sure that our scientists, our epidemiologists, our doctors are actually leading the effort here to combat COVID-19 and stop the spread, and that we not allow politics to intervene. There's nothing political about wearing a mask, and there's nothing political about social distancing. The doctors tell us we have to do these things to stop the spread, and that leads right into the economic piece of this. We want our economy to return. So many people have been hurt dramatically because of this pandemic, because they went home to comply with stay-at-home orders, or their businesses have shut. Congress acted, and we passed the CARES Act and provided loans to small businesses and extended unemployment and additional unemployment to independent contractors, all of which has been a huge help to so many families. Protection against eviction and foreclosure. And we knew that wasn't going to be enough, because the pandemic wasn't just going to end miraculously the way that some have suggested that it would. And so we took action, and we passed the HEROES Act, a piece of legislation which will provide additional support. It'll provide support for our frontline workers, our doctors, our nurses, first responders, teachers, and it will also extend the unemployment, provide greater assistance for businesses. Last thing I'll say is, one of the other things that we'll be pushing for this weekend is to get the United States Senate to take up the HEROES Act and to pass it so that we can continue to move forward to strengthen our response to the pandemic from the public health side, to make sure that we're looking out for one another on the economic side to get our economy rolling again. And I'll finish where I started, which is to say, this is really, really hard. And I know it's hard, but we're going to get through this together. And this kind of opportunity to have this interaction provides a great forum for us to know that we're really all in this together. One of the things that I have counted on is great leadership at the local level, and Commissioner Mark Bogen is the perfect example of that. We're so fortunate to have him as a great leader on our county commission, and I know he has much that he would like to share with you as well. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Mark?
Yes.
Our County Commissioner, Mr. Mark Bogen.
Well, first of all, you know, I wanted to start off by saying our Congressman, Ted, you do a great job for our community. And what's really important are people who are elected to office who will listen to problems. And, you know, I've known Ted since he was a state senator, and he's always gone to bat when we always needed help. And Ted, thanks for always being there, and really mean that, and appreciate all the work you do. And I don't know how you travel every week back and forth to DC. You know, it takes a special person to keep doing that, but stay safe, you know, when you travel. And Jackie, thank you in the management committee for everything you guys do and meet and try to help everybody. It's been very strange as a county commissioner meeting, because our meetings are either by phone or some of us are coming in, some of us are doing it by Zoom to try to keep space from each other. Today, matter of fact, they just extended, I don't know if they call it the curfew, but restaurants were being closed at 10 p.m. in Broward County. They felt they were being hurt. They wanted to stay open until 11. So today, that order has been signed, and all restaurants are now going to be open until 11 p.m. In Broward. So the good news is, I think, is sometimes the numbers are slowly trending down, although it's still out there. The virus is still out there. And it's something important that everybody should know. I believe one of the main networks just did a very simple test. And what they did was they lit a candle, they put a mask on somebody like this, and they tried to blow the candle out from the mask. And with this type of mask, the candle could not be blown out. This is a good mask, or a cloth mask is a good mask. But there are masks where people wear around their neck. It's a very polyester type mask, and you could blow it right through. So they're trying now to show that certain masks, whether it be this is a typical mask or a cloth mask, is very effective. But the masks that a lot of people wear around their necks when they go fishing and stuff, and they're polyester and they bring it right up to their nose, you could blow right through it. It's not effective either to protect yourself from inhaling or exhaling. So, so anyway, you know, if anybody watching this needs anything from the county, you need anything from our office, you could always call. We're at 357-7002. Say it again, our phone number, 357-7002. I got great staff. We're all there, willing to help. If anybody needs anything, please feel free to call us. And with that, glad to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Okay, Bruce, would you like to begin the question and answer session or say a few words?
Yes, got a lot of questions here. I'd like to thank Teresa Breyer from the Congressman's office. She put this all together. And as the questions come in, I'll read them. First one's for the Congressman. I am concerned for my health to stand in a long line on election day. What is the process that I should follow to vote by mail in the November election?
Well, thanks for the question, and I'm glad you asked. It's really important, first of all, to make sure that first, everyone needs to make sure that they're registered to vote. They need to make sure, you need to make sure that you're going to have an absentee ballot sent to you, and the Broward Supervisor of Elections office can confirm that for you. And the best thing to do, especially given the challenges that we've seen that I described at the post office, the best thing we can do is to make sure that you send it, that when you get your ballot, that as soon as you receive it, that you complete it, you sign it, you follow the directions, and you send it back. there will also be efforts to make to be sure that the ballot can, if it's easier, can be dropped off at an early voting site. But the main piece of advice I have for people is to confirm that you're going to receive an absentee ballot, a vote by mail ballot, and then when it comes, that you don't put it aside and think that you're going to get to it sometime closer to the election, or maybe you'll vote in person, maybe things will get better, you'll wait and see. If you get a ballot in the mail, you should complete it and you should send it back to the supervisor of elections. That's the one thing that we can all do to ensure that our votes will all count, regardless of anything else that's happening, regardless of our efforts in Washington to make sure the Postal Service is doing its job. If we act with the level of seriousness and as quickly as we can, there is no question that we'll get our ballots in and that those votes will count.
Thank you.
Bruce?
Yes, sir.
Just to add on, if anybody has not registered to get a vote by mail ballot, as Congressman Deutch was talking about, they can go to browardsoe.org. The website to request a ballot by mail is browardsoe.org. And on the homepage, something will pop up. You click on it, and it'll tell you exactly how to get that ballot.
We'll send that on an email blast to all of our Wynmoor residents. Mark, while you're up, we have a question for you.
Can I, Bruce?
Yes,
Bruce,
sir.
Just again, I want to also add, there are secure drop boxes that will be available to voters to drop off their ballots to, and all of this, they'll be at the 22 early voting sites. They'll be, in addition to those, they'll be at the 2 other locations at least. And we'll make sure, the commissioner and I and all of your other great elected officials will make sure that we get all of that information about all of the places people can drop off ballots to, get that to people so that they know all of the options available to them. Sorry to jump back in.
It's okay.
That's great.
Another question for the Congressman. Is there an update on the next stimulus bill to help people and businesses during the pandemic?
Yes. Look, the CARES Act that we passed back in March, as I explained, I think it was a perfect example of the way Congress ought to work all the time, but certainly during a crisis. It passed quickly. It passed overwhelmingly. It was bipartisan, and we came together to do it. The House, as I said, as I referred to before, the House passed the HEROES Act, which is the next phase of economic relief that would extend the federal unemployment benefits. It would extend the state benefits. It would provide one more direct payment and would help our frontline workers, among other things. It does lots of other things too, including helping our cities and counties, something I know that the commissioner understands the importance of better than anyone. And the Senate, Mitch McConnell and the Senate just wouldn't take it up. And so you fast forward until the end of July when the programs expired. We're now in a position where people who relied upon these benefits, with the millions of people who are out of work and the small businesses who want to get back to normal but can't because of restrictions and other steps taken to keep our communities healthy, they're stuck. So we encourage people to reach out to make sure that our senators are doing everything they can to bring the HEROES Act up for vote. And if there are changes that they want, let's talk about the changes. Let's negotiate and get something done. But we can't just allow it. We're hurting too many people by allowing this to sit. One last thing, Bruce. The president, a lot of people may have followed along. The president issued some executive orders that he said were aimed to address what the HEROES Act would have done. The fact is they cut the federal benefit in half. They don't provide additional stimulus. They don't do anything to help extend unemployment in Florida, where our unemployment system is so broken. And perhaps worst of all, they pay for whatever this does by raiding FEMA just as we're entering peak hurricane season, and by cutting the funding source for Social Security and Medicare, something that I have pledged I will never allow to happen, not for the seniors who rely upon Social Security and Medicare that I proudly represent.
Perhaps you could look in this for Wynmoor. We were not eligible for the Paycheck Protection Program because we're a condominium. However, we did have ancillary programs such as golf, theater, and recreation, which I did pay staff for the first month or so, which we didn't get reimbursed for. We lost a lot of revenue. Could the government look into, for the ancillary type items, reimbursing condominiums?
We definitely can. There are some changes that the HEROES Act makes to expand the program, but what you describe is something that we hear from lots of different sources. The CARES Act was meant to provide this lifeline, and what we've realized is that there are lots of places, lots of businesses, nonprofits, condo associations, and the like, who also have expenses and whose businesses have been impacted. And in this case, that business, your business, is the business of taking care of the people in your community. So yeah, we're looking at all of the ways that we can help meet those shortfalls.
Thank you. Question for Commissioner Bogen.
Yes.
Mark, this one seems like it's never going to go away. Our residents have been concerned about the Turnpike expansion. Do you have any updated information about the expansion?
All I can say is no news is good news in that sense. We've been now fighting it for a couple years. At the time, Governor Scott put it on the back burner when he ran for U.S. Senate, which was good. And we thank Governor Scott for doing that. But it's come back, sometimes it's come back to life, and we're continuing trying to do what we can to fight it. It's still, they're still doing studies, and it's still a long way away, but we will continue to do what we can. I've been in touch with Governor DeSantis's office, and we'll do what we can to keep it at bay.
Another question for the commissioner.
Yeah.
Wynmoor hired a company that offered COVID testing. Many residents were provided a statement with additional testing costs. Are we doing anything to investigate this matter?
Yeah, that company came to Wynmoor pledging to test everybody for free. You know, it wouldn't cost them anything. It would go to insurance. And what they did was they not only did a COVID test, but they did 20, 30, 40 blood tests and other tests that, what I've been told, have not been authorized. And they used the COVID thing going on now just to kind of way to make money on those other types of tests. So we are investigating. I'm talking to somebody at the state attorney's office and the attorney general's office, and it'll be a process, but we'll see what we can do. Okay.
Question for the congressman.
Bruce, just before you get to the next question, if I may, that's we've been working with Commissioner Bogen on this too, and the residents, and we've seen some of these, some of the forms, the EOBs, the explanation of benefits, that show all sorts of tests that weren't supposed to be part of this, and that were billed for anyway. And we're also at the federal level looking at this. Unfortunately, and I'm not saying we don't know enough about what happened here, but I can tell you that since the pandemic started, there have been too many instances of people, individuals, businesses trying to capitalize on the pandemic, which often wound up hurting people or just hurting taxpayers who were on the hook for costs that they shouldn't have been. So we're looking at this. We're at the federal level and are continuing to work with Commissioner Bogen.
And this is not just a Wynmoor issue. This is Kings Point, right. Century Village, Polo Club, etc.
Bruce, by the way, has anybody ever gotten the COVID test back from that company?
Yes, we all got our results. And yesterday in the mail, I got a 6-page statement here of all the testing and the results. So, Mark, I'll forward this to you if you like. I know you have residents have sent this to you already. So.
Yeah.
Okay, to the Congressman. This is a long one. It is being reported that the governor is ready to move forward with phase 2 of the reopening of South Florida. Phase 2 would permit restaurants to operate at 50% indoor seating at full capacity outdoors and to reopen bar top seating. Professional sports venues also would be permitted to reopen. Is it too soon to consider phase 2 for South Florida?
Yeah, I have said all along, Bruce, and I believe this firmly, that the decisions that we make about our expansion of openings and moving forward and reopening the economy have to be based on science and what our public health officials tell us. And so it shouldn't be up to the governor to decide or to mandate that everyone reopen. We don't want to move forward if doing so is done in a haphazard way that would wind up putting people at risk. We want to continue to reopen in a thoughtful way that will help keep people safe, that will protect both our businesses and their employees and their customers. And there are requirements that the CDC laid out. There are requirements that the governor laid out, the step-by-step approach that he initially described, which we ought to be following. And we are, as the commissioner said before, the positivity rate, which is the indicator that I think is really relevant here, which isn't how many new cases there are, it's the number of people who test positive when they get tested. That's been coming down, but it needs to be at around 5 or less than 5%, according to the scientists that we talk to, for people to be confident moving forward dramatically with reopening. And we're moving in that direction. And I think a thoughtful approach that aims towards that and that is clear with people and that helps them understand what we're looking at, what we expect, how that's going to help us move forward and keep people safe. That's the right approach. It's not simply a question of, do we want to reopen or not? Of course we want to reopen. I would love to reopen everything at 100%, but not if it means that we're going to wind up causing a spike in the number of cases. We just need to be thoughtful and planful and work with the health experts to make sure that this is done right.
We have a request for you. Please ask the Congressman if he would send a message to our Wynmoor neighbors explaining that the census takers need their help and cooperation in completing the 10-year census. If this could be done using our Wynmoor Blast email, it would help get the job done.
We will thank you, and it is, and I know the commissioner will speak to this too, it is critically important that that everyone complete the census. It takes very little time. You can do it. You can either do it online or with the workers who are coming by. And if it's helpful, Bruce, we'd be happy to send an email to all of the residents with all of that information. It's really critical for our communities that everyone is counted. It's going to help ensure that our community gets the benefit of all of the tax dollars that we send back to Washington, making sure that we get the resources that we're entitled to.
Here's one I just received.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
Bruce, may I, before you continue? Being someone that actually worked for the census for a few years, it's very important, especially that our residents know, if you take the time and do the census survey online, people won't come to your door. Once that survey is filled out, they won't be coming to your door. I know, especially now, people are very nervous about letting anybody in or opening the door to not just a stranger, but to the virus. So if you fill out that form, they won't come back to you, or you go online or through the mail, or take the first interview, because they're going to keep coming back. They're very persistent. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Congressman Deutch, here's another one, kind of long. It has to do with the postal system again. Just got it. At the Senate hearing this morning, Postmaster DeJoy indicated that the USPS has no intention of returning or restoring the the mail sorting machines or mail drop boxes to the post office from which they were taken. He stated that mail processing efficiency will not be decreased, while heads of postal unions indicate that there is a large decline in rates of processing mail. Since the Senate is not interested in reversing what has already been done, why do you think that you and the other members of the House of Representatives have any leverage to power to effect a change to restore the post office to the functionality it has been at the beginning of this year?
That is a good, thoughtful question. I didn't see the Postmaster General's testimony this morning, but the answer to that question is not. It's not about the leverage that the House has. It's about the leverage that the American people have, and judging by the number of calls and emails and letters, frankly, that we've been receiving on this, it is clear that people are very concerned. And again, it's not only about the election, though that is front and center in so much of our conversation these days. It's about people's prescriptions and their Social Security checks and veterans benefits. And so he can sit and say that it's not going to have any impact. But I think there's a hearing on Monday in the House, which will be after we pass this legislation, where we take these issues up. And we'll continue to talk to our local postmasters. The pressure is going to come from the American people. I guarantee you, I'll just leave it with this, Bruce. I guarantee you that between now and a week from now, now that the Postmaster General has apparently said that there will be members of Congress and reporters and concerned citizens who go out to all of the post offices who have seen these sorting machines removed and tackle this issue head on and ask directly if this is going to cause a delay. And where that's the case, there will be great pressure, I think, to restore it to where it was before.
I have one question here. It's partisan, so the person who sent it in, don't be upset that I'm not going to talk about that one. But Congressman, we have another one here. The 55 and over bill is now 25 years old. And we feel that it's affecting active senior communities, that we're losing our identification of what they were set up for. Can you have your people review the bill? And if you want some feedback from us, we'll be glad to give it to you at the time.
The answer is yes. We're always happy to take feedback and review legislation. I'd probably like a little more insight into what you're getting at, but we can do that offline. I'd be happy to.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
And I have one more question. It's for the Congressman. For Mark Bogen, our Commissioner.
I was just happy listening to Congressman Deutch. He's doing such a great job. I just want to sit here and relax and let him do all the talking. I
tried to fix my hair, Mark. I don't know about you.
No, he's right on. You know, Congressman Deutch is just right on everything. I just enjoy listening.
It's always good to hear from. It's always good to hear from the Congressman. Mark, it's middle of hurricane season. Tell us about shelters. We have a lot of people that need shelters. What's
shelters?
Shelter.
I never heard of shelters. What are shelters?
That's what we're at.
I'm joking.
You're up.
So, as everybody may know, that when there is a hurricane where shelters are needed, staffing has been the issue. The school board is to provide staff, cities are to provide staff, and the county is to provide staff. However, since past year or two, a lot of the cities don't want to provide or claim they can't provide staff. They don't have the staff, or it costs too much. The school board says, they do provide staff, but it's not enough. So that's right now an issue that we're working on and making sure that there's enough staffing. And then now to complicate things, you have this virus. And, it's going to be really tough to try to keep people, apart enough distance. So it's not going to be, there's no easy fix. The most important thing is making everybody make sure they wear the masks. I don't think people will come into a shelter or be allowed into a shelter unless they have a mask on, and they're going to try their best to make it so it's not going to be a social atmosphere where people will be facing each other, but they're trying to put together some type of way where either distancing will be in play or people will be faced back to back. It hasn't been worked out yet.
Thank you. Jackie, people have had their say. I'll give it back to you now.
Oh, thank you. Well, if there's no other questions, would anyone like to discuss anything openly now?
I could add one more thing if I can.
Sure.
Our wonderful landfill, which is just down the street,
Thank you.
which has been a constant fight for 6 years on my plate with waste management. You know, they're always continuing wanting to expand, and now they have another permit in to expand the landfill again, and their future plans are to expand. So I just want to let everybody know, besides the working with the congressman on the turnpike expansion and working together with everybody else, I'm also going to be fighting against the expansion of that landfill. And, you know, in the past 6 years, we've reduced the smell, we've reduced the birds.
The birds are coming back, Mark.
Are they now coming back?
Yes, big
Okay.
influx of the blackbirds.
Okay, we need to know that. You know, they want to keep expanding that landfill now. So we'll be fighting against it and keep everybody posted.
Mark, we had a question about electronic voting. Is the county considering that?
No, I'm not aware of anybody. I'm not aware of anybody pushing electronic voting. Quite the opposite. I think more talk has been about having more of document and paper voting. So, you know, we have backup and we could always do a recount if we need to. You know, there's nothing like having a piece of paper if you need it to go back and make sure everything was done right.
And this is a City of Coconut Creek question, Mark, but maybe you want to. Is there going to be CCPD presence at the early voting sites as well as on election day?
Is there going to be police? Is that
Police presence.
At the early voting sites?
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any change. If there usually is, they may. I'm not sure. I have no knowledge about a need for increased police presence or not. We have not had any incidents that I'm aware of locally to warrant increased police presence. So that's, you know, unless you're coming to vote at the polls, Bruce, because obviously if you came to the polls, we would need a lot of police presence because of all the problems and, you know, you make over there. But otherwise, as long as you're not coming over there, then we don't need the police.
Thank you, Mark. Henry, did you want to say something on this? Henry San Juan?
I'm sorry?
Wait, Henry, you going to say something? I guess not. Jackie, back to you.
Sorry, I'm here. I have nothing to
That's
say.
Henry. Okay.
I got nothing to say.
Okay. Jackie, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. No other calls coming in with questions? Well, I'll take.
Oh, Jackie, if I could just, as we wrap up, just I want to thank you and Bruce again, and just remind people if there's anything that I can do or that our office can do for you, don't hesitate to reach out. Phone number is 954-255-8336.
And your cell number?
255-8336. That is better than my cell number because that number will actually get a response.
Yeah, Teresa.
That's Teresa's. And yeah, and if you're so inclined, deutch.house.gov is our website, and we try to provide useful information there too. But please don't hesitate to reach out if we can do anything.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Jackie, also, you know,
Yes.
I know that Wynmoor sent out a mass email to everybody about a week or two ago. We gave out hand sanitizers to those that didn't have it or weren't able to get it. We still have a supply left. There it is. Bruce is showing it. We have 2-ounce bottles that we're giving away for free. If anybody needs it, how can they get it, Jackie? What should they do if people still want some hand sanitizer?
They can call our office,
Okay.
and we'll make sure they get them.
You just let me know.
We'll distribute them.
You know,
Terrific.
we didn't have to have a date to set up with a tent. We could do that.
Right. We'll figure it out. We'll handle the logistics.
Thanks, Mark, for the extra work.
Yes. But I I would like to take this opportunity to thank Congressman Deutch and Commissioner Bogen, our friends, and our Wynmoor advocates, and we thank you for everything you do for us. We truly appreciate it. Thank you. I know these are very difficult times for everybody, and everybody is truly stepping up to the plate, and thank you. I thank the residents. I thank Bruce Bandler, as he's called, my office husband. There's a dynamic there that, thank God we're not married to each other. But thank you, residents, and thank you, Teresa and Henry, for making this possible. Please, everybody stay safe and well, and hopefully see everyone around campus shortly. But thanks again. And we have those numbers for both Congressman Deutch and Commissioner Bogen at the office. So if I'll give them again for Commissioner Bogen, I have 954-357-7002. And for Congressman Deutch, we have 954-255-8336. I have, so enjoy. Thank you again. Hope we do this again soon. Very informative.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you.